Hey guys, we're going to see if anybody comes on. Gary is going to try to call tonight so y'all can hear from him. So I guess we're just going to stay here. Let's see if anybody joins us. We're froze up on yours. So I guess we're just going to stay here. It was like the last couple of times it was flagging. Hi everybody, welcome to our live chat where we can come on and you all can ask questions and we can talk a little bit. Gary's going to try to call us about 7:20, 7:30 so he can talk to everybody. Shit. What does it say? We got people on. Yours is going off. Hey, Tracy. I can't see who's on there yet, but Gary's going to call us. Got 6 people. I can't really see if y'all are, I think Facebook is going to be our best bet, but we got one going on Facebook and I'm here on YouTube, but I can't see if there's anybody chatting on YouTube.
Everyone, please share because it's the only way that it's going to be seen or heard by anyone else if it gets shared outside of our friends and family group. We need it to someone that can possibly help with the case. So share with everyone.
Hey, Tracy. Thank you for sharing. Hey, Neil. Yes, Gary's going to be on if he can get the phone. He's going to try to call about 7:20, 7:30. Hey, Marcia. Thanks for joining us. I can't see anybody on YouTube. Like, my comments are not coming. Can you look at them? Hi, Mary Ruth. Gary's going to call and talk to everybody. Hi, Mary Ruth. Look, mine's lagging.
You're going to have yourself all messed up. You better turn that in.
I'm already messed up. All right, so Amy's got a bunch of things that she's wanting to talk about tonight. Some of these things that she talked about with her dad. And as soon as Jimmy feels better, we're going to get him to come on. Because Jimmy knows a lot. The very beginning, all through everything. He knows things that we don't even know as far as the things that happen with the jurors and the things that happen with witnesses and stuff. Jimmy knows a lot. Some of it might be hearsay, but like I said before, 98% of hearsay is true. Hey, Kim, thanks for joining us. I just want to say this. I talked to Gary yesterday, and he told me that, we've been saying that they've got this protocol in place again. So yesterday, some guys that came in and do church services with them told him yesterday that it was in Nashville's newspaper that they had the protocol in place and that they had all of the 9 names in that article. And of course, Gary's one of the 9. So all the ones that were supposed to be up for execution the last time, they're all 9 up for execution again. And so I feel like this time, because our commissioner that they have now and the attorney general, they're just biting at the bit to get these executions started. And once they start these executions, they can do as many as they want, as close as they want. You know, where we talked to Governor Lee, and hi, Dwayne and Sabrina, thanks for joining us. Where we talked on our rallies and stuff that we did at the Capitol, and Dennis Ferrer and had asked Governor Lee point blank what was he going to do about death row, and he told him he wasn't going to even look at a death row case until hey Judy, I don't know if I don't think my YouTube is working very well, so we're just going to try to do this on Facebook. I've got the YouTube on, but I don't know if anybody's on it or not. But anyway, the governor told Dennis Ferrer that he wasn't going to look at anything until the protocol was in place. Libby Cunningham on Channel 10, that has been doing things for Gary, also went to one of his press conferences here. It's been about 3 weeks ago, and she went just to ask him the question, not about death row, but about Gary. And she asked him, what are you going to do about, looking at Gary Sutton's innocent claim, man sitting on death row? And he gave the same answer. So it's a politician answer that he gives. And to the public, he said he would not look at it unless until the protocol was in place. The protocol is in place. So we're just asking you, Governor Lee, just sit down and talk to us. I mean, I don't know why it's such a big deal for you to just give the family and the time to just sit down and look at Gary's case, because I feel like, you need to look at it. I know I was talking to somebody about it. If it was somebody in their family or their loved one, they would want somebody to listen to them. So I just, again, Governor Lee, please, we're just asking you just for a little bit of your time. When you look at it, if you can't look at Gary's case and know that he's innocent, then, that's all we want you to do. We just want you to look at it, because when you look at it, you're going to know that he's innocent, and you can either let him go home or let him have a new trial. We're fine with a new trial, because you put Gary on trial and you let him have his trial by himself. You're not going to go to trial because they simply don't have anything on him. And that's not what I'm saying. That's what DA Flynn said in the trial when they tried to separate their trials, was they couldn't separate them, because if they did, they would have to let Sutton walk, because they simply didn't have anything on him. So, I mean, there was so much that happened. They should have let Gary go, but they didn't. So, again, I know that some of the lawmakers, I think Governor Lee might have told them he wasn't going to talk to them until there was an execution date. Either way, there's one coming. We're going to get it. If we don't get it before the first of the year, it'll be after the first of the year. So then maybe Governor Lee will give us that chance. I don't know. But anyway, in the meantime, we still have to be fighting for Gary. We still have to be loud. So my thought, and if everybody else would think, and whatever you think about it, Amy, we always go to Nashville and we do these rallies because we feel like if we're in Nashville, right there where Governor Lee's at, he might listen to us better. But I think our next rally we should be doing around Christmas, and I feel like we need to do like a vigil. What do you think? It being in Blount County, everybody can come. I would love to have,
for everybody.
Yeah, everybody can come, and I would love to be where we could have so many people there that we can't even get on the steps of the courthouse. I mean, that's what we need to do. We need to have, and if Clay would do it, come and let Clay do a prayer, and we can speak. We can do it just like we do at the Capitol, but I feel like we need to do it over in Blount County. I need everybody to put their input and help us with this. I mean, it's me and Amy. We're trying to get this going, and we need y'all's help. So I'm done rambling. You go.
So like she said, I mean, we're begging and pleading for Governor Lee to help us. We know he's busy, but this is kind of on a time crunch, like, because, like she said, they're going to start giving out dates soon. So we need it done now. Like, we need to save him. So, okay, we'll just get right back into where we left last week. So we had started talking about Lester, like, other possibilities, that they could have looked into, because they had other people, like suspects, that they could have also looked in on, but they chose not to, even though they had more of a reason to look into a couple other people that had said things, threatened things, and we're going to go over that with you. But they just chose not to for whatever reason. We're not really sure.
So, Tracy, yes, if you will help us, we will do a viral vigil. We'll do it there, and like I said, any suggestions, and thank you, Tracy. You're always there when we need you. We appreciate you as well.
So one of the possibilities, we're going to give names because, these are names that the detectives had. Everybody knows they're, in our transcripts, that it's public knowledge. So one of them is Lester Johnson. We're going to go over him just a little bit. So he was another possibility. At first, they tried to say that he wasn't in the area. But his wife come forward, and he was, because she actually picked him up and brought him back to the area, our area, around where the murders happened. And he also drove a white pickup truck. Witnesses supposedly said that they seen. And we'll get into that also, as the reason why I say supposedly. So, like I said, he's a possibility. White truck, just like a witness had said. So the reason why, he is also a possibility, we'll get into that. So he was in jail already, correct? And she had went and got him from jail and brought him back to the area? Or he already got out of jail?
Okay, so he was in North Carolina in jail. And from what has been told, and y'all need to know too, that some of the stuff that we have now is when we hired Heather to come in and get new evidence.
The
private investigator, and I think she's going to try to be on with us next week. But Heather is the one that uncovered a lot of this stuff, but this is some stuff that they knew at the time, but they didn't bring it to light, and Gary's lawyers didn't really know about it. They did bring up Lester Johnson for just a very short time during the trial, just enough to where the appeals court really don't want to hear it anymore. They don't know much about Lester Johnson. They just know that he had a white pickup truck. But what it was is, and I will tell you too, this stuff too, Heather come to light with some of it, and some of it I got from the Nashville archives, because everybody needs to remember too that Gary had a federal defender, because all through these trials, every time they did so many Brady violations, they did so many wrongs against Gary's constitutional right, that every time something come up, the judge would say, well, the appeals court will take care of this. They'll take care of that in the appeals court. But my thing is we had Judge Ogle in Sevier County, but his wife is also a judge on the appeals court. No, they tried to say she wasn't one that was overseeing Gary's appeals, but she was still on that appeals court. The judge that we had in Blount County, he was not on the appeals court yet, but at some time after that, he ended up being on the appeals court. So there's two people on this appeals court that I'm sure when Gary's came through that they were going to deny. I do know that when I came back in and started Googling this stuff, I found it one time and I can't find it anymore. But Judge Montgomery did give Gary granted Gary a new trial. And it never happened. So I don't know what happened there. That falls back on Gary's public defender that didn't do anything for Gary. And when Gary would try to talk to her and say, hey, this happened, she would look at Gary and tell Gary, no, Gary, that didn't happen. Gary knows what happened in his trials. What my thing is she didn't know what happened, because I tell you right now, if I had to face her again, I don't think that she ever read Gary's transcripts, because, and Amy, you remember this, when we were in her office, we would mention things to her in front of this other lawyer. He would look at her like, did this really happen? And she would say, well, I read something about that.
Yes. I'm going to say she pretty
Sorry,
much,
I got off.
like,
Yeah.
I mean, everything that we pretty much brought up that she should have brought light to. She acted like she didn't really know much about it, which she has. She's got everything that we have, and she had access to more than what we have, so she knows it.
Yeah. And two, she can't come up. She says she thinks she might be able to find it. But Gary did a lie detector test. How many? How many lie detector tests did he do?
2 that I know of. One of them was done by the county after he was arrested, passed it with flying colors. They believe that he possibly manipulated it. So they reach out and he's like a world renowned like lie detector guy. Supposedly he had worked with military, everything. That his was unliable. Like you couldn't lie on his.
Yeah, you couldn't.
So they brought him in. He passed it with flying colors. Like, I mean, they sat and told them he is innocent. You know, like, he's not passing my test. He's innocent. But of course, they didn't want to hear it. As everybody knows, like, if it would have went the other way around, like if he would have failed it for something, of course they would have used it against him then. But since it was, you know, being helpful in Gary's position,
We put a link.
You know, they didn't want to listen to it.
Shared.
Okay, so Lester Johnson. Sorry. So he was the other possibility. And the reason why, like, you know, he had just got out of jail right before Chid went and picked him up. He was in jail, just to give you like a little bit of his rundown, like he was a violent person. He had actually cut the lady's throat in a backer bar for not performing sexual things on him. We'll just say that. He cut her throat because of that.
I'm not sure what the reasoning was for Tommy and Connie going to go and testify at his trial, but I have documents from the Nashville files that he that
I told them they was testifying yet.
they were.
We haven't told them about them supposed to be testifying yet.
Oh well, sorry.
Sorry,
But anyway,
she's getting ahead of me.
am.
Okay, so what were you like?
Well,
okay.
Lester Johnson, if you all, Tina Hartman came forward, and she came forward, federal defender, told them they didn't want to hear anything from her, but she had confirmation about Lester Johnson. Go ahead.
Okay, so that was kind of like a little rundown. You know, I mean, you can look him up, you can see people's charges and everything. That was just his latest charge.
Share it too.
So he was involved in drug activity, drug running, whatever you want to call it. So how Connie and Tommy got brought in it kind of with him is the reason why we're, you know, saying that he's a possibility and the cops knew he's another possibility. Sister of Tommy, those two are the brother and sister that in this murder. So they were against Lester Johnson. And then, of course, you know, they were both found dead within the week apart. I mean, kind of coincidental. Like, that's not a coincidence that they were. So he had sent out a letter while he was in jail because he knew that they were set to testify then. Well, he had gave a rundown of names and everything on this paper of judges, a lawyer, a DA. Connie and Tommy was added to that list that got threats that he was going to kill them. He sent that letter by his son. This is not hearsay. This is not something we're saying. Like, his wife come forward, well, mother of the child come forward at the time and told it, because, of course, like any mother, they irate about giving your child something like that to deliver to these people to threaten their life. But that's what he done. And Connie and Tommy was on that list. So, and then, you know, of course, he got back in town just right before they had went missing. And then they were found deceased. So, I mean, huge possibility. Can we say 100%? We can't.
No.
I would never say 100% with somebody like they're trying to do Gary, like, unless you actually know and we're just telling you other possibilities they had if they chose not to look into.
Lester Johnson also drove a white pickup truck.
Yes.
And Heather went and got the picture of his pickup truck and also talked to law enforcement that they had came forward to at the time back then to let them know that Lester Johnson did drive a white pickup truck. When Lester Johnson, he had already threatened grandmother's barn. Tina, after Connie and Tommy, I'm coming to her, or Connie and Tommy. So,
If she didn't keep her mouth shut.
So, the thing with Tina Hartman is that she, you know, she was threatened. He cut her throat. He got by with it. I understand that even the day after court, that law enforcement had to make sure she got back okay because they were afraid he was going to hurt her. So these law enforcement and everything knew how bad of a person and mean of a person he was, but they still let him get by with everything. And that doesn't make any sense to me. So I think he was someone that they needed to check into, and they just didn't. They just didn't care. They zoned in on Gary and James, and that was it. That was like we talked about Widener last weekend. What people don't understand is that Widener's things, when he went to the judge, said that he had someone or people, 4 witnesses that put them on the scene of the crime. They never had nobody on the scene of the crime. The store owner that they said that told him that they seen Connie get in the truck with James and Gary. I even have him on recording. Heather went and talked to him. They didn't see, he didn't see anything. He just said he seen a white truck, 2 men in it. He couldn't identify him, but he never, ever saw her get in the truck with them. So that's 2 witnesses that he said he had that he didn't have. Then you have Barbara Gordon. Should we go to Barbara Gordon?
We need the other possibility. Let me give you a
Possibilities.
rundown
I'm sorry.
of one more possibility.
Yeah.
Okay, so there was one more. His name was Bill Cogdill. About everybody that lives around in this area and you're older, you've heard of Bill Cogdill. So he had went and visited. Her name was Joyce Tipton. He had went and visited her to speak with her, threaten her. I don't really know why I said speak with her. It was more like threatening her. That because she had a warrant on his brother at the time. So he went to have a conversation with her, pretty much like a scary conversation, that if she didn't drop it, this is his words, his testimony, if she did not drop that against his brother, she would end up found just like Connie. This was before Connie got found, her body in the vehicle. I know maybe some of y'all don't know, she was burned up in a vehicle. That's how she got found deceased. So he sat and detailed it to her, about being burned up in a car and everything. So how would he know exact details of how someone was going to be found before they were found. So another possibility.
Well, he also, remember, he went and told them, he went and told the sheriff the same thing, and they told him to get out. He was drunk. He didn't know what he was talking about.
He just didn't know what he was talking about, that he needed to leave. So during the Blount County trial, because there was two, there was Sevier County and Blount County. During the Blount County trial, he was set to testify. He was set to get up there and say, you know, what he done, you know, like spill it all out. He was going to. They actually hid him. The judge in the courtroom shut down the courtroom and everything, supposedly looking for him, that nobody could find him. The officers and everyone was looking for him. So I know we also don't know about the Blount County Jail, where they keep people. Sometimes I say underground because like some of it is, but it has like a little, like back then it had like bar windows, you know, like caged kind of. So how he got found was by someone that was there coming in and out of the court and stuff, because the jailhouse was right across the little street or whatever from it. He was yelling out to everyone, trying to get everybody's attention. He kept on telling everyone he was incognito, that they were hiding him and stuff. So our lawyer brought it to the judge in open court that he's not lost. He's not hiding. They have him in there in the jail, like right over next door. And that's another time they conveniently went on a recess. They wanted the courtroom shut down because they didn't want to hear any possibilities. Like, for whatever reason, they wanted it to be Gary and James and it to be an open and closed case and be done with it. I mean, I'm sure they had the reasons. Like, I mean, but we're not going to go into like speculation, because I want to, whatever we say, I want to be able to tell you where exactly it come from, or it was in open court, or you can read it, because we don't want a whole bunch of hearsay. We don't want to lie about anything. We want to be completely open about everything. But there was supposedly some personal reasons, and with Connie, the reason why Al Smetzer was so determined on it. But like I said, I can't prove it, so therefore we're not talking about it. We're not getting in it.
We could prove it if we could get somebody to really deep dive in it.
If someone could, you know, if we could get someone to really help us that wanted to, that had any kind of connections to get a hold of things, that's filed trials that he was on and all that, we could prove it. But until then,
we have Belinda. She said she also had drug Lester severe and dropped him off the day Tommy was killed. Yeah, that was his girlfriend, and I can't remember what her name is. I'll dig those out. But yeah, she did come forward and tell people that she picked up Lester that day, the day that Tommy went missing, drove him to Sevierville and dropped him off at his truck. And that's where the white truck came from. And they failed to tell that in court. Now, Bill Cogdill, I still would like to know how he knew how they were going to find Tommy. Connie. Nobody knew that.
She had not been found yet.
No. And I remember, too, that when we went to trial, that Joyce Tipton, when the first time she was supposed to testify, I know that she couldn't, because this had her so messed up and so tore up that she was being evaluated over at the hospital. So because she was scared, and that's a lot of stuff. This is a small town, and there was connections with every one of them somehow. And I said it before, and I'll say it again. Al Smetzer is the devil. He, not only Gary has he done this to, but who else has he done it to? That man could make you believe that the sky is black. I don't know. When you're looking straight at it and the sky was going to be blue, that guy will make you think that, oh no, it's a different color. It's orange, it's purple, it's whatever, when clearly it's blue. So that's how good he is, because I feel like he went to drama school. But
The car salesman mouth. That's what I've always been told. A car salesman
Yeah.
mouth.
yes,
Oh,
Kim, he is the
so-
devil. I remember when we were going to court and stuff, and y'all got to remember, we were young. All of us was young back then. I was only 24. Gary was 25, 26. He was 26, I think. We were young. I remember we were on a break or something, and I was going out to the parking lot to my car, and he came out there, and he smiled me and said, "Well, hello, Miss Weaver. How are you?" And I told him, I said, "You're a liar. You're lying, and you know it." And he looked at me and said, "Well, I got to do my job." No, you don't. It was election year. I don't know what kind of authority figure he thought he was going to get. But, that man being just a DA for at least 50 years, nobody should be in office that long, because that man run Sevier County. And he had the Ogle. He run Sevier County right under him. You had Al Smutzer. You had Judge Ogle. You had David Webb. He's another one that is sorry.
Zane Daniels.
And Zane Daniels, they're sorry because Jim spent all his money that
Gary's
he could
father.
possibly spend, which was Gary's dad, for Gary to have a good defense, and they just handed him right over. They didn't care. They went right along with everything. At first when they went to speak with Zane Daniels, he said he wouldn't touch that case with a 10-foot pole. Nobody understood. I mean, now looking back, you understand, because it was told and I'd heard. And the thing with Zane Daniels is I knew about him before I ever met Gary, because I was friends with some people that were friends with Zane Daniels. And yes, he was a good lawyer in Knox County, but he also had his connections, because he did shady stuff too, just like David Webb shady, Al Smutzer's shady, Judge Ogle's shady. I don't care. They were and they are. They took Gary's life, and they don't care. So I hope that they're all suffering, and they all will suffer, because if one of them don't come forward and tell the truth before they die, they're going to split hell wide open.
So I know, we're throwing out a lot of names and everything, and I know people that doesn't know about this case. They have no idea some of the people that we're talking about. So I'll give you a little bit of a breakdown for that.
Mm-hmm.
So David Webb, one of them that she had mentioned, he was Gary's lawyer for just a little bit. But a whole huge chunk of money got put down, to retain him and for him to be Gary's lawyer. So he ended up, he started to try at the beginning. I'll say it that way. He started to try. Well, whatever happened in their backroom conversations, he ended up coming back to my family and saying he's going to have to give, he'll return what money he didn't use. He didn't do anything, so I don't really know why he kept any of it, but he only gave back about a quarter, if that, of the money that got put down to retain him. Said he used it for whatever. Anyway, he pretty much openly come forward, with my family and said if he is to continue with this case, Tron, that he'll never be able to work in this town again. Because, that's just how it works. If you're owed favors or if you owe someone favors, that's just how it works. And unfortunately, in our justice system, it's not how it should be, but unfortunately, that's how it is. And that's kind of how that got wrapped up. So speaking about Zane Daniels. Zane Daniels was also another attorney of his for, an amount of time, not very long, but a short amount of time. So with Zane Daniels, same thing like that. For one, to start off with, Al Smutzer. So Zane Daniels, we didn't know all this at the time. Al Smutzer, they were good buddies. like all the way back to school days, good buddies. They were college buddies. They run together, hung together. I mean, so they went to FBI school together.
Hi, Mark. Hi, Harvey.
So,
I'm over here on
For
YouTube.
one, I
We got
think
it going on
that should have been a
Facebook. Thank you all for
conflict of
joining
interest.
us.
I feel like, I mean, I don't know specifically the laws on it, but I'm guessing that's the reason why he told my family at the beginning that he wouldn't touch this case with a 10-foot pole. But then all of a sudden he came back to my family
I read
and
that here.
wanted to take it. We didn't know any better at the time to overthink it or think how come all of a sudden he changed his mind. Well, now we kind of know why he changed his mind, because
He was
somebody
into
wanted
some,
to take
he was in some shady stuff too. Just put
Yeah.
it that way. No.
I mean, somebody told me how to take it, because obviously it wouldn't be a good defense lawyer for Gary with him and the DA that was prosecuting him working on it together. I mean, I don't really know another nice way to put it. There's no nice way. So, I mean, okay, one of the other things, so Zane Daniels, before the end of the trial, because he was toward the end, one of the things they hit down, like, so this was a jury member that was in the room that come forward to tell this. That Zane Daniels had walked in before any deliberation or anything had come back on the trial, like guilty or not guilty. He had walked in with roses, handed each of the jury members a rose, passed one out to each of them, and apologized to all of them for his client, which is Gary, for being such a liar. What attorney goes to a jury for one and says that to jury members before they're about to deliberate on a case? That's illegal for him even being in the room talking to them or telling them something like that. And he just like, I say he just decided to do it. But after, of course, him and his buddy DA, like spoke about it, their plan. So that was another thing that should have never happened, should have been throughout. I mean, there's just so many possibilities and different angles to this case. Like, it's really almost unbelievable unless you were there, seen it, or read all these transcripts. It's unbelievable. Like, some people, it's the reason why we're all over the place. Some people just shake their head, because if I was getting told all this and not seen it or heard it myself, I'm like, this didn't happen. Because they broke almost every law in their book in a courtroom. The family members talking to jury members.
Let me get
outside
Gary on the phone and then I'll be back.
Should have been a dismissed case. At one point, the judge and the lawyer went in and talked to the jury members while they were in the room. The only person that is allowed near that room is the court officer to protect them. That's it. So it shouldn't have been allowed. But, I mean, the judge is boss in the courtroom. So who's supposed to tell him it was wrong and throw it out? I mean, it's up to the judge to withhold these laws that were put in place.
So I'm going to put you on live.
This is the reason why we need help. We need help from someone that's not afraid of our justice system here in Sevier County to go up against some higher up people. Because without that help, where's it going to go? Who's going to stand up to them? And this is not just Gary's case. I mean, this is what we're focused on right now. This is our loved one. But there's others that's been framed. We have got to put a stop to this. It could be your family member, your loved one, or a friend next.
Hold on.
So we've got to get this stopped.
Yeah, hold on.
Okay, so I'm going to jump over here real quick, because we were talking about Lester Johnson. He also had a white truck and everything.
All right, here we
So,
are.
hey, let me interrupt. Gary's on the phone. So let him talk to everybody for a second to say hi. Hey, Uncle Gary. Can you hear us?
Have you tried to make sure they can hear me?
We got you on live, so just start talking. They'll tell us
Yeah.
if they can hear you or not.
You just talk loud. They'll hear you.
My name, well, I guess everybody knows my name, Gary Sutton. Thank y'all for being here and stuff and coming on the podcast. I hope you can hear me.
Lakeland says yes.
She can hear me?
Yeah. Can y'all hear him? Keep on talking.
Yeah, they can hear you.
They can hear you.
They can hear me. What are you holding the phone down in front of you?
Yes.
Well,
He doesn't know about
you can
technology
boss me
these days.
around like you are the girls are.
No, Gary Wayne.
I hear you are just some kind of a pit boss.
Yeah, I hear you. Listen, they're listening to you. Say hi to Kim and Nell and Belinda and Marcia and
There's a whole lot of people.
Harvey and Mark and Judy.
Well, everybody's names I've heard you all so far. I love all of y'all, and I think y'all know that. I'm a big believer in family and close ties and friends. But Lord, it's I can't believe it's been this long. Sometimes I think about it and I think, Lord, it ain't no way it's been this long. Then again, sometimes I think about it, Lord, I don't even remember what it feels like to be free or be on the outside. But yeah, I tell you, it's a blessing that I feel like it's a blessing that you all were coming and trying to help in some kind of way and stuff. And it's unbelievable that this can be done to you. I mean, we're supposed to be living in a country that stuff like this just don't happen. But I was raised, and most of y'all that's on there knows I was raised by pretty much a lot of women. I mean, with my aunts, my grandmother, they just all pitched a hand in it. And anybody here's the thing that kind of gets me. Anybody that knows me knows that I was raised with one thing, that you never raise a hand to a female. And to have a charge like this was really like a kick in the stomach to me when they charge them something like this. You can find anybody that you want to out there in the whole county that I'm from, and you'll not get one of them to say that I've ever raised a hand to a female. Don't believe in it. Never have, never will. But yet here I'm laid being charged and convicted with killing Tommy's sister. And him, the reason I started the friendship out with him in the beginning was the mere fact that he had lost his leg from the knee down, and I kind of felt sorry for him. Then I got turned into a good friendship. Then when me and my wife separated, I started hanging around with him more and just become more like a brother than he did really a friend. But I can't even imagine raising a hand to him to hurt him, let alone kill him. I mean, it's just all of this is so absurd. It's unreal to think about you can be done like this.
Yeah. Hey Gary, we got you on Facebook and YouTube, and I got some friends out of Missouri and Kansas off of YouTube that says to tell you that they're praying for you and they can hear you loud and clear, and to tell you that they love you and to keep your head up and that they are praying for you.
Well, thank you all very much for that. I don't know. It's just, a lot of people think that, well, they just got to be something or something that, that we're not seeing, but they're just not. And I don't know how much stuff that y'all put on there about my case, but it's easy to put somebody here, and in the beginning when they give you two lawyers that has absolutely no experience whatsoever, they're begging the judge to get off my case because they said, we don't even know how to pick a jury. They have absolutely no experience in a capital case. And matter of fact, one of them said, y'all, it's the only criminal case I've ever had is a phone harassment charge. So that's kind of lawyers that took me to court. Was two lawyers that begged to get off the case. And then when we did go to court, they ended up letting me have a jury picker because my lawyers they wouldn't even educated enough on how to pick a jury. So they give me a jury picker. We get a jury pick, and guess what? After we get the jury pick, the district attorney don't like the jury that we pick, so they send them home and wanted a redo. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that happened in my case, and it just goes on and on and on. Most people look at it, and you can tell them it's all day long until they actually look at it and see it in writing, and they just don't believe that stuff like this can happen. They think can actually go to this extent to convict you. There's not one thread of evidence that I've hurt anybody or done anything to anybody in any way, but yet here I still lay 34 years later on death row. But, and I don't know. I keep hating to ask my family to do this or do that. I just feel like I wore my welcome out on that front, of interfering with their lives, to try to help me. But I'm just thankful, that you got a system that's set up now where maybe people will start listening, and maybe I don't know. I just don't know where to go. I'm not educated enough to know enough about the law to know what to do myself. And when you're like that, they can basically do what they want to you. It's like you're fighting. It's like you're fighting an invisible person. You can't see them. You don't know how to fight the system when you're uneducated and don't know nothing about it.
No connections, no money.
But they didn't even have. I mean, if you look into the case, I feel for the Griffin family. Here they've lost 2 members of their families, and I feel for them. I felt the same loss myself. I don't know why I feel as much or more than they did, but I did like I've said before. I didn't really know Connie much, but Tommy was just a dear. He was more like a brother than he was a friend. And it just hurt to the core to think not only that I lost him, but the way he was took. But but when they can go to court, they didn't even have no evidence to arrest me. The only way they could arrest me, they went in front of a grand jury and told a grand jury that they had 3 eyewitnesses that could put me on the scene of the murder, which was just a straight up lie. They should have to take my case back to jump and retry me because they arrested me on lies, and the whole case from there on it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. Well, we had a detective that sat on the witness stand, and I'll never forget, I couldn't even get my lawyer because I knew he'd done set me out. I couldn't get him to even question him about the lies. We didn't have evidence that he lied. But it took my charge partner's lawyer to actually question him. He sat there and told like 8 lies back to back, and at one point I remember my co-defendant's lawyer told the judge, he asked the detective first, he said, "Did I say something funny?" He said, "No, why?" He said, "Well, you're sitting here sniggering, you're sitting here with a big smile on your face, you're sniggering like I've said something funny." And he said, "But you sat here and told like 8 lies back to back." And in the form of judge to the judge, he said, "Y'all ain't sitting here and told like 8 lies back to back, and he thinks he's funny, sitting here sniggering and laughing about it." And the judge, "Well, ain't nothing I can do about it." He said, "If he wants to perjure himself, he's the one that's got to live with it, but I'm the one that have to live with it. You're 34 years later." And I'm not the only one that I know that this man's done like this. The bailiffs, when I was going to court, they told me stories when we'd be sitting out there having lunch together about how this man was lying, forging, fabricating. That's the only thing they used him for. From what I understood from them, they told me straight out, said he couldn't find somebody probably in a dim lit room. They'd use him to lie. That's what they brought him in there for. But I was even told, I don't know that this is true, but we've not had anybody investigate it to find out. I know when I was going to trial, I was even told with the bailiffs out there that him and his wife had actually been caught stealing from a Walmart store where he was, and that goes to show what kind of moral values that this man's got. And I don't know that to be true. That's what they told me, but it said something about he'd opened the back door, he was moonlighting as a security guard. If that's true, I don't know why they would tell me that if it would be true. But
Gary,
it's just the kind of people that convicted me.
Yep. I want to tell you some of the stuff. Marcia Hickman's on here, and she said to tell you that John said hi.
Well, till I said, hey, till I got him up.
Yeah, we don't want to take. No. It's a surprise.
Well,
Yeah. Belinda said, Gary, you're coming home. Absolutely. She's. And then she said something about something that you said. She said, absolutely not. I have never seen that out of you. And I know how much you. Nell said to tell you that she loves you and she misses you so much, you know, and she knows that you love Tommy. Kim said, it's been so long since she's heard your voice. Judy said, hi, Gary. We're praying for you.
Well, tell her don't go off because she heard my voice. I sound country on here. I mean,
He sounds country anytime.
Back on something they done on the news, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I sound country from a turnip girl.
Well, because you do sound country, Gary. Cassandra said Cassandra said to tell Dad I love him.
Well, I said I love her.
Cassandra, did you hear him? He said he loved you too.
Tell my little football playing grandson to give him my love.
Did you hear that, Cassandra? Okay. So, Gary, tell us what we need to. I don't know. What do we need to do for Governor Lee to listen to us? What else can we do?
I have no idea, to be honest with you. I mean, he don't seem to want to talk to nobody, or I don't know, you know. And here's the thing: what you got to remember. I mean, as much as we've tried to get, people's tried to get to talk to him, you got to remember the other side's probably tell him, oh, it's this and it's that. And if you read what the state's laid out, all you can think, oh God, it's just wound up real tight, they've got evidence, but no, they don't. There's not one stitch of evidence. If they got some evidence that I've done anything wrong, I'd like them to show it to me. I'd like them to show me the evidence. Show me one thread of evidence that I have committed any kind of crime against Tommy or Connie or her, either one of them. Show me any kind of evidence. And you don't have the evidence when the person didn't do it. That's the bottom line.
Mary Ruth said to tell you she loves you. She said, we love you, Gary.
Tell her I love her too, and thanks for helping me eat and stuff.
And they have personally said in there, like it's in the transcripts, that this is a purely circumstantial case.
Yes.
Because there is no evidence. They try to make them believe that there is evidence, but there is not.
Take a case, and you got a district attorney that gets and the only way that they tried me with James, they knew that they had no evidence against me, and they tried me with him, and even the district attorney said straight out, it's in the transcript, if you don't let me try Gary with James, I'll have to drop charges on it because I don't have no evidence against him. And they'll never have no evidence against me because I never hurt or killed anybody. I mean, just to me, honestly, it feels like somebody just kicked me in the pit of my stomach. I remember when I first got locked in the jail, I thought, oh my God, this just can't be happening. I just kept waking up every day and thinking, somebody got to see, that this didn't happen. I kept thinking the officers, they'll get this straight, detectives and stuff, and I don't know, they just kept thinking, well, he must know who done it, or if his uncle did it, he must know something about it. He won't tell us. And when they just went after me, just like they did him, and just didn't care. I mean, they don't care that I've rotted in here for 34 years. This little 7 by 9 concrete tomb, and they just don't care. I mean, to them, it's not nothing. It's not nothing off of them that they lied and forged and fabricated. I mean, there's so many lies that we got pictures to show. Planted shell casings at the crime scene. Pictures that was blown up 3 by 5 big colored pictures that show that they planted the shell casings. The shell casings wasn't there when the body was in the scene. The second picture he took a couple of days later, guess what? Here's 2 big shell casings laying there. The guy that said he hears a shot up on the hill. The whole thing was that for the officers to get their dad that's already in the police department to say whatever they want him to say. And then it goes on. The guy at the store where it claims that this detective got up and testified in front of the jury that that this guy at the store seen me and Tommy and James come in, and James and Connie get in a car and leave, and me leave the truck. This is all a lie. He said, I didn't sign no statement to give that. It was all a lie. The Texas made the thing of it, but he done told that to the jury. And I think the jury, they look at it from that point as, like when they showed him the statement he was supposed to give, and he said, I didn't sign that statement. That's not what I said. He said, I said when I left work that evening, there was a little brown car running into my parking lot down there. He said, I never seen nobody get in no vehicles or leave or nothing. He said, I can't identify nobody. The whole thing was like a Barbara Gordon. About 5 different statements. She gave about 5 different statements. First statement she gave, and I'd say this is probably more toward the truth of what actually happened in her first statement. She said that while she was house sitting, I think her and her husband and her son, that they seen some fire. Did you said they heard something popping? They seen some fire through the trees way over Summers in another area over there. And they just said they assumed that there was somebody over that built a bonfire or something, because a lot of campers and stuff went up, a lot of people did. Then here all of a sudden they came up, it was Broncos. They'd seen a Broncos storming out. And the truth is, the house that they live in is back behind. The detectives told a private investigator that we had, said their house is actually back in behind there. You don't even come out of their house coming out of there. Well, she states that she seen a truck coming out. First it was a Bronco. Then he went to a Blazer. Then he went to a big truck, a white truck with great big motor tires on it. Then he came back to a truck like my uncle had, a truck with little small tires on it.
No, Gary, she still to this day says it's motor tires.
No.
She's never changed her story on the motor tires. And James's truck had factory tires on it, not motor tires.
Yeah, and here's the thing. When she was on the witness stand, if you'd have seen the way she acted, when the lawyer asked her, said, the truth is, he said, you've never even seen James Dillinger's truck until they brought you out here to the jail and had him pull up on a float, showed it to you on the float. You'd never seen his truck before. She said, no, I haven't seen it. Then she turned around and looked at the turn like, oh, God, I messed up, didn't I? And I mean, the whole thing was about 5 different statements. And I think at this point, I don't know. I don't think she'll ever just come out and just tell her, yeah, I just lied about the whole thing. Her son said she did. I mean, he come to court and said in court that she lied about the whole thing. But I don't think she will for whatever reason. I think she may be worried about getting in trouble herself or something, which they can't get no trouble for it. But or maybe she just don't want people to know that she lied and they helped put somebody on death row. I mean, she was a big part of putting me here, with these lies,
Now, the last statement that she had gave, she did admit to the DA and the detectives twisting her story. Every time she went to say something, they twisted it to what they wanted it. And, I mean, she is saying there was threats made, like, on her husband, and they kept her child shut up, the one that actually found the car. I mean, she is now coming forward and saying that, like, and I mean, anybody can go back and now question her. I mean, they can, she will come forward.
Well, her son showed up in court, and we had no idea that she even had a son. We didn't know nothing about her family. Well, I went back for a motion for a new trial, and this guy's man just stands up, raises his hand up. I don't know how old he was. He probably in his early 20s or something. Raised his hand up and asked the judge, he said, Your Honor, could I say something in this case? And he said, he's got something you'd like to add to this? And he said, yes. And he asked the district attorney if he said something. And I'm thinking, oh my God, here's somebody else they brought in here's going to tell a bunch of lies, about all of this. And I'm thinking that's what it's going to be. But he gets on the witness stand, and he said, well, Judge Atkins, what have you got to add to this? He said, well, I'd just like to say, he said, my mother's Barbara Gordon, and it's bothered me ever since. He said, the bottom line is, he said, she never seen nobody in no truck or nothing come out of over there. And he said, this detective just kept coming back, James Winder, he said, over and over and over again, until he convinced her that it would be the right thing to do for her to drive and say she seen a truck that looked like Dillinger's coming out of that area with 2 men in it. She couldn't identify them, but 2 men with baseball caps on. And to make it seem like that she'd seen us come out of this area, and which is just a straight up lie. But I mean, he's own mother. I remember the district attorney said, "So what you're saying is your mother's just a low down dirty liar?" And he said, "No, that's not what I'm saying. My mother is a good Christian lady, but said this detective convinced her that would be the right thing to do." He said, "If she didn't, there'd be 2 murderers be set free in this."
He came up there and they told him to go home and forget about what he had seen.
Yeah, it's just, like I said, anybody, if they can take me and convict me like they did, anybody, they ain't nobody they're safe. I mean, if they get you, here's the way it works. Well, once they get you and get you locked up, you're put in a position then you can't fight for yourself. You can't do anything for yourself. You're dependent on any and everybody else around you to do something. I mean, you can't go out and question people and talk to people and stuff. And when they start putting lie into the jury, they put so much stuff to the jury. I mean, stuff it wasn't even about the case they were throwing out there. And, just throwing anything, make it look like you would be the kind of person that would maybe do something like this. Not that they've got any evidence you done anything. Just look like, well, you're the kind of person that might do something like it. And I'm no angel. Anybody that knows me knows that I used to get out in bar rooms and chase girls. I mean, I'd get in fist fights out in bar rooms. I'm no angel. Don't ever try to say that I am. But I am a guy that lives with some kind of morals and values, especially when it comes to women and females. That was to me was plumb off the list. You don't ever raise a hand to a female. I was raised by my grandmother, my aunt, and my aunts and stuff. I mean, I just grew up around a lot of women that I really love that helped raise me. And I don't care what the situation has been taught. It don't matter what the situation is. You don't raise a hand to a female. You get away from the situation. If it's that bad that you feel like you would have to even think about going to that point. But this year, look, this person, I mean, just out of love, I mean, never had a harsh word with him. That's the honest God truth. Me and Tommy Griffiths never had a harsh word between us. It was just always just life, usually from the time we got together. We've never had a harsh word between us. And anybody that knows us knows that, even, and I've tried to tell people this. I've heard that Tammy Griffin has put stuff on the internet about me, and I don't, and on one sense, I don't blame her, but look, and I don't know what she's been told and stuff about this case, but I know she's got a big heart like her brother Tommy, and I got to know her real good. And then if you asked her to her true belief, there's no way she'd tell you that I'd ever do something like this to Tommy or Connie. I don't know why she would be saying stuff, maybe because of other family members. Maybe she feels like she's got to say stuff toward me or something. But yeah, anybody that knows me knows that this ain't me. I don't do that. This is really ain't in me. I mean, I've never jumped on anybody or done anything any wrong unless. Like I said, I've been out in bar rooms and got in little brawls and stuff, stuff like that. But it wouldn't unless anybody that hadn't done something to me or jumped on me beforehand. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't have that going back to court. I don't know that the lawyers that I've got. I don't know where they're just in it for the money or these other lawyers I've got, or they're going to try to get in here and try to do something. I really don't trust none of them. I don't trust no lawyers. I've lived here so many years and watched everyone and just use me as a meal ticket. Just draining every dollar that they can drain out of the government and doing nothing for me. I mean, nothing. It's just filling their pockets of money. They've made, I know, hundreds of thousands, but probably up in the, if you put it all together, probably, they say about $3 million if you go to a death penalty case. To take somebody to trial and go always do it, the more they have on my case. But
he was looking at some case laws And what was one of them about the lawyers abandoned?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say with the lawyers abandoning and stuff. Like after a year, it's technically considered abandonment. After 5 years, it's a different category of abandonment by a lawyer. I mean, they can get charged, disbarred, everything. I mean, we just need. I mean, on her and happen. I mean, I've counted so far at least 7 laws that I've wrote down and read in the transcript, because they had gave a case somewhat similar to yours where all of these was charged to the court, to the lawyer for not doing what they were supposed to be doing. I mean, Fourth Amendment right, Fifth Amendment right. There was multiple laws broken in your case that should be filed on.
It's like every other thing that they done. Though, just like, say for instance, a search warrant. That they went and told the same thing to get a search warrant for my uncle's house. Told the same lie. We got 3 eyewitnesses to put them on the scene of the murder, which is all a total lie. And here the search warrant's rule is illegal and invalid because they lied to get it. But they let them use the evidence that they had. Judge, what the judge said? Well, it means too much. And actually, the shell cases that they got, I know what they done. The shell cases they got, they took that they got at his house. They found a bunch of the same color that probably that they had. There's all the same color, and they probably took several of them at the same color. They took a couple of them. I've got to get off here, but I love you all and thank you all for coming on tonight, and I appreciate any help that any y'all can do in any kind of way. I mean, anybody that knows anything we can do to help, or get Bill Lee to look at the case. I don't know what to do. I don't know anybody's got.
Well, we're gonna do what we have to do, whether it's right or wrong. Everybody said to tell you they love you. I will get Gary to try to come back on again because I think this has helped out a lot.
We love you.
So I'm gonna go tell him bye.
I love y'all girls for fighting so hard for me and stuff, and
we're not done.
Yeah, we're not done. Are you gonna call me back?
It just warms an old man's heart. No, I keep somebody else's on the phone, but I'll talk to you tomorrow.
I was gonna say, thank you for
all right, I need to talk to these guys on
not
YouTube.
Funny, but kind of funny way, like it's so funny that he gets on there.
Thanks, Harvey. Thanks, Mark. I appreciate y'all coming on and helping us and listening to us. He will be the
first to admit he is not an angel, but when it comes to certain things, he's not that person. If you know him, you know he's not that person. You don't know him, a couple of conversations, you would know he's not that person. Anybody that has went in so far to that jail and had any kind of meeting with him, or whether it be the PI when she went in and met him, new attorneys, that has helped here and there, said they were going to help here and there. I mean, they would come straight back out after a time or two, and they would shake their head and like, he is not a murderer. Like, I mean, we actually need to get it in paper because I feel like, that's good, could possibly help on character and things, because we completely understand, a lot of people doesn't know him personally. So just out of character, like we need to know, I think it'd be a good thing to have maybe some of the jailers, officers and everything, from his prison that he's been in for a lot of years.
I will tell you
a statement on him because they all love him.
Yeah.
He's never got in trouble in there. They will all tell you, we've done this job for a long time, on death row. He should not be here. He is not a murderer. Like, I mean, all you got to do is be around him. I mean,
Guys, y'all that's on YouTube, I appreciate y'all, and I thank you all for everything that you're doing for Gary. And you guys have helped me through the years just to muddle through this stuff. You guys just don't even know how much y'all have helped me and still are helping me. And just the things that you all give me advice to do, you say that I need to do, y'all have been a great big help. Gary knows about y'all and he thanks you all, and I appreciate everything that y'all do. So I think that we're going to get Gary to come back on again, because I think that helped a lot, and just him talking, and you all that don't know Gary to see who he is. So Gary said, he's so kind-hearted. He still is. He loves his family. He loves anybody and everybody. And if you do one thing for him, that's what Gary does. He does his woodwork. He does his leather work. He makes things for everybody. And the thing with Gary, as long as he's been in there, I know he's innocent. I know he's been innocent from day one, and everybody else does. But if he was not an innocent man, he still would not be proclaiming his innocence to this day, because, he
They gave up
yeah.
not having to deal with what
Yeah.
everybody thinks, and it's beyond aggravating, because unless you've had a family member in a prison and know exactly what goes on in there, you have no idea what you see on social media or whatever. Oh, they've lived the life. They have TV that, what do you hear? 3 hots in a cot? No, that's by far the truth. They don't get 3 hots in a cot. Like, they get treated worse than a meat animal.
Well, and that's what I get into a lot with people when they say, oh, they get health care, they get this, they get that, taxpayers, but it doesn't work like that. And I've said it to them a lot. Until you are educated about death row or the prison system, I don't want to hear anything coming out of your mouth, because you have no idea what you're talking about. Back about last year, was around February, so Gary fell and he twisted his ankle, and I kept telling him, you need to get a boot.
We're pretty sure he cracked one of the little bones in his ankle.
He did. He finally, in 2 places, it took them a month to even get him a boot, and all they had to do was go across the street and get him a boot. It took them over a month to give him a boot. It took them a month and a half to get an x-ray. It took them another month to tell him what the x-ray was after it already healed. So he did. He broke his ankle in 2 places, and he walked around on that for months and months, and he still has trouble out of it. So
they let him lay in his cell like around COVID time.
Yeah.
He had got it, and Gary has asthma really bad, and they had let him lay in there and almost die. He could not even move. He couldn't get voice out to yell for anybody or anything. He was lifeless, laying on his little hard bed. Like, no, you couldn't get him back to health. So no, they don't got it made in there. So, but okay. Besides that, we got off on that.
Yeah, we got off on that because we were talking. But I just lost I just lost everything. But anyway, when Dennis Ferrer first came out with Gary's story that weekend, when those guards were coming back in, they told Gary that he was going home. They tell him that all the time because they all know that he's innocent. And I just don't understand why it's so hard for someone to look at this. I know that.
And that's all we're begging for. Is Governor Bill Lee to please look at his case. We're not out here pleading, oh, we just love our family member or friend or whatever, so let him go. We're not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that would be nice. We'd love it. But we're not doing that. We're asking to actually make people do their job and look at his case. Because if you look at his case, look at the no evidence and all the just
Mark, you're right. It is a hell within
everything
a hell.
that is
Some of
here,
the things he tells me,
he'll be released.
Yeah, it kills me.
Very little. Give him a new trial. Let it go back to trial. We're fine with that. We're fine with getting him a new trial. I mean, because he has nothing to hide. We just need help with it. So if anybody has any ideas, just like Gary said, any ideas how to get it to him
And yes,
any way
Mark.
possible.
Yeah, and Mark, you're
We'll
right.
do it.
A lot of people don't think that this can happen, and they do turn a blind eye, to it, and they don't understand. And people need to get educated. And yeah, and you're right. These the governors and stuff, they don't give a shit, because I know the one that we saw, I think it was there in Missouri, that man that got executed, and the DA and them even said that they found, you never hear them say it, but the DA even said, we made a mistake, but they still killed that man anyway. I mean, I don't see how that they can even live with themselves knowing that, and they know there's but like you said, they just don't care. It's not them. It's not their family. They have the money. They have the power. So they don't care.
And this is the reason why nobody with big money is sitting on death row. Look it up. You can see every person. It's public on there. I've actually gone on there, looked at names, read everything for years now.
Yeah.
Public knowledge. Like, there's not a person with money sitting on death row, because they had a good defense lawyer that actually went to battle for them and proved
That's right,
their
Harvey. They
innocence.
don't
We
care.
just didn't have one.
They only start caring if it happens to them. And I'm just going to be honest with you. I wouldn't probably give it a second thought either if it wasn't for me having to be in it.
Unfortunately, that's the reality.
Because I, like the rest of it, I was raised, you listen to the law protects you, what they do is right. If they arrested you, then you surely had to do it. I mean, I had a lot of problems with my family back in the day, because, they're telling me, well, he must have done it if they arrested him. And, it estranged me from my family. Because they didn't want to listen to me and know that I had enough sense to know that he didn't do it. So, it's just you stick your head in the mud and you can't get it out. And they know, and that's what kills me with the Innocence Project. They don't help anybody out unless they've got DNA to help them solve that problem. Because I've talked to him time and time again. He is innocent. Well, there's not any DNA. We don't have anything to work on.
And they want, a clear slam dunk, and, there is no evidence.
Yeah, Mark, I think that everybody said, and Al Smetzer has a lot of pull, and even Gary thinks, and you're right, the only reason the governor's not looking at it is because there is somebody with a lot of pull that's telling him not to. And Gary seems to think too that, Al Smetzer's just picked up that phone and called him and said, hey, I don't want you to do anything on this, because I'm pretty sure that Governor Lee has ties with them in Sevier County as well, because of Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge. I think he owns businesses up there and everything. So here you go.
So another possibility that we can also do, if we don't get help elsewhere, is like, if we can figure out a way to get it to the U.S. Supreme Court, which we have no idea how to do, and of course we're going to need someone to help us get it there, because that would be the only other way we would get it heard and get it out there, and we have no one big enough to
That's
help
just
us
it,
to
Mark.
do that.
We can't get any lawyers to touch it because it's a post-conviction. You tell them that it's a death row thing, and they'll say, well, post-conviction, there's nothing they can do. And that's why we hired Heather, is because we talked to a lawyer out of Florida, because I was like, I'm not talking to anybody. I'm not talking to anybody in Tennessee. And she told us at this point, because they screwed up all his appeals, and I'm not saying they screwed it up because I'm saying it. We've had other lawyers tell us that she screwed up his appeal. She knew just the right wording to put. Appeals court would deny it, and once it goes through the appeals court, I want to hear nothing of it again. So she put just a little bit of everything in this, enough to where the appeals court's not going to hear it. The thing with Lester Johnson, she put just a little bit about Lester Johnson in it, to where I don't know if they'll even listen about all the things about Lester Johnson. But even, lawyers said, I had a lawyer out of Memphis that said, because she had filed sometime back in February of 2020, I think it was. Gary didn't know about it. His family didn't know about it. I Googled, and it popped up on Google. They gave her 60 days to come up with new evidence. She could have done the new evidence, and she just let it go. Because she didn't reply back, it was null and void, and they look at it like Gary should have had something applied to it, but he didn't know that it was filed. And so that judge told us that she put the last nail in his coffin because she had 60 days to give them new evidence, and she didn't try. She didn't try.
I mean, just like some of the other, I mean, like I said, there's multiple laws broken in this case. If we could just get someone to help us to file some of these.
Yeah.
I mean, one of them that she broke was the AEDPA law. I didn't know what it was either until I looked it up and wrote some of it down. But Stacey said, she only had a 1-year period, because she could have filed a habeas corpus and everything on it. But, I mean, she let any and everything fall in between the cracks because she knew the timeline. She's a lawyer. She knew the timeline.
She's
and also there's a law we could have filed a quash motion. I know this is crazy names. I literally had to Google all this. Quash motion. We could have filed against her with the Bar Association. There's a egregious attorney misconduct in Tennessee that she should be filed on right now. Because it's illegal ethics that, they swear into, kind of like a doctor. There's ethics that they have to go by, laws that they have to go by. There was so many broken. And I mean, these are supposed to be big laws and everything. The one is, I know a Fourth Amendment right. It was broken in this case. We had to Google it to see exactly what it meant and everything.
She filed something. Was it either the Fourth Amendment or the Eighth Amendment? And she filed it all screwy and stuff. So
and
there
would not
was
follow up with it.
So there was his appeal on that. Didn't follow up with it, and in their eyes, Gary.
The only time she ever filed anything is when she got pressured. She had to prove to do something, file something in so much time to get her paycheck, because it's supposed to be at least once a year. She is supposed to either, whether
That's right,
it be
Mark. You got that right,
talking
Mark.
to him, letters with him, some kind of contact with him every year. And a signature, that she's still working on the case and everything, or she doesn't get the paycheck off him specifically every year, and unless she is still on the case actively working on it. Well, she didn't see or talk to him for 12 years. 12 years. No communication whatsoever. So how did she get a signature on paper or even a virtual anything to collect that paycheck for 12 years? That's another huge question. Comes down to ethics. What kind of attorneys that he had, you might as well say he didn't have an attorney working for him.
No. And, I told Gary that because, we do have Lofton on standby. And I think maybe if we could get him going, because, we paid him a lot of money. He's on standby for what we need him for. I feel like that he could file this for us, but Gary, in his mind, he doesn't think we can because he says that Suzanne's going to say, well, he wouldn't talk to me. Well, nobody knows that. And if she's got signatures that she went and seen Gary and stuff, well, those signatures are forged because she didn't. The last time that Gary said she talked to him is when she did his appeal. And he called her. Well, I know that your dad, Jimmy, his brother, went to try to get a copy of the appeal.
Went to her office to get a copy. She laughed in his face. The attorney, my dad has all rights, Gary signed away all rights and everything to my father, power of attorney, saying, he can get anything, do anything, just like he is the person that she's working for. She laughed in his face and told him,
That's what I feel
don't
too,
have
Mark,
to give
and I
you
think
anything.
it all has to do about a big old drug ring.
That's not allowed. But what do you do?
Well, and then when Gary called her after he saw his appeal, he told her, he goes, and mind you, Gary has never cussed that woman. I'm sorry, but I would have cussed her up one side down the other. He's never cussed her. He's never been disrespectful to her, even though she don't care about his life. Mm-hmm. When he says he respects women, he does. I mean, he just does, and that's thanks to his Aunt Hazel, his Aunt Lucille, his Aunt Pauline, his Mama Sutton. That's thanks to all of them women that raised him to be the good person that he is. And I just, he said that he told her, he said, now I know why you didn't let me or my brother look at my appeal, because the DA himself wrote it. Mm-hmm. She laughed at him and told him, if you have anything further to say to me, you write me a letter, and hung the phone up on him. So that was her right there.
Used to talk to him.
Yep.
We've asked questions. We were both there. We went, had a meeting with her. She finally decided, and this has only been 2 years ago. 2 years ago, yeah. I guess she finally
Mark,
agreed
I'm gonna,
to sit down
if you'll
with us.
get in contact with me, I
So
want to
we
send
went
his
in
Sydney
there,
Powell is. I definitely want to talk to this lady.
His lawyer, which is Suzanne. There was another attorney, a new person that had started working there. We didn't know him. We just was getting introduced to him. Their PI, his name is Mike Chavez, and he was in there.
Is your phone dying?
There was one other person. No, there was one other person there.
See, there was me, you. We tried to do the right thing and take Heather with us, but they kicked her out.
Yes, we took Heather in at the beginning, RPI.
So it was
when it found stuff, and
me, Amy,
she refused to have her in there because she doesn't want anyone in there with any kind of knowledge or knows that she is in the wrong and calling her out on it. She knows that we don't know laws. Everything that we know, we've had to go and search ourselves, or go ask other attorneys, or go to the courthouse and ask. We've had to search everything on our own because, God forbid them answer any questions for us. But as was in there, we brought up some of the things like, why did you not file, this law? Why did you not file this? How come you let this slide and run up? And she just acted like she just sat there with a smirk on her face and everything, and wouldn't answer any of our questions. Like, just like with Heather, wanting to be in there, and because she was telling her some of the new evidence that she had found and everything, like what they said we needed, she put her out of there. And she said that, what did she say? Something about with the, Gary's not there to give the permission or whatever. But like I told her, for one, like, I've also had a prior signature, that giving me authorization to speak to anyone. My father could not be there that day, but he also has one. I said, okay. And she knew for a fact that he was, over everything. I said, so I'll bring him here and he can give you permission. She said, no, and just like I told her that day, well, I mean, I was under the impression that anybody that we could get to help, we're all in this together for the same cause, to help Gary. So I'm not understanding. She didn't really have an answer for it at all. And then, I was not aware of Mike Chavez, being their PI. I thought that he was just when I went in there. Because they let each of them, their roles are. So I sat there and said, I don't understand, RPI has only been on this for a very short amount of time. This is all the actual factual. She has went and met with, some of the jury members, some of the supposedly witnesses that she's found this in a very short amount of time. So I don't know what kind of PI you have, but apparently they're not doing their job. Well, then that's when I learned that he was sitting there, that Mike Chavez was their PI, which, just like I said, I didn't care because, it was the truth. And he sat there quiet. He, nothing to add. He added nothing to it because, when it comes to, they know they do their job, so we need help.
Mark, we asked for mistrials time after time, and that judge wouldn't give it.
No.
He wouldn't. They had mistrials for everything. I mean, I don't even know how many mistrials they asked for, and the judge just no. And his comment, a lot of it down, and then on back to Nashville. So I don't know what they said to him or what happened. But anytime somebody did come in to oversee it or try to help, no, they did whatever they wanted to do. I mean, it's a good old boy system. It's there. It happens. They did it. What else? I guess we need to wrap it up because we've been here for over an hour.
We could be here all night,
Yeah.
telling you all the wrongdoings and everything. And we'll be back next week because, like I said,
Yeah.
there's just so much. We sit here days and days, and
this isn't even the tip of it. This isn't even the beginning.
I mean, this is literally toward the beginning,
Yeah.
of some of the things that got done. We'll be here again next week. If any of the stuff that we've said to you, or you want to see something or know something else more in depth to it, let us know.
Hey, Jeff.
We'll still see it even after we're not on live anymore. You can go back and rewatch the video. Write questions. We'll answer it the next time when we come on.
Yeah, I mean, we need
we
to.
didn't see, or any comments we didn't see, we'll acknowledge it when we come back on, because it's so hard to see. Like, my phone's kind of far away from me and I can't see the comments. But yeah, I mean, we appreciate every one of y'all.
Thanks, Harvey. Thanks, Mark. I appreciate you all. Judy, I know she's on here somewhere. I appreciate you guys. And I'm going to try to get this YouTube fixed up better.
We definitely still have some more learning to do with technology. And we're trying to, we have a TikTok page right now. I want to add that.
Yes, I know, Mark. Everything's hearsay because they're never going to.
And put,
but I'm going to go ahead and YouTube. And I thank you guys. And we'll talk to y'all later. Thank you so much.
Gary